Good morning, everyone, and respected dignitaries with us. It's give me a great pleasure to welcome you all to the signing of Memorandum of Understanding today between Center for Adivasi Research and Development and Central University of Odisha, Koraput. Today's signing sets a significant milestone for closer collaboration among us.
Screen ta kono ye honi odilu full screen honi ke
Ladies and gentlemen, Center for Adivasi Research and Development is a leading research-oriented institution promoting ethnographic, empirical, and evidence-based research for engaging and addressing the challenges the 21st century globe is facing today. The prime agenda of this institution is to come up with potential policy solutions for social change while believing in the idea of 3D debate, dialogue, and discussion, and with expertise, experiencing, and education. The institution focuses on marginalized communities and works for their livelihood to protect the nature, culture, language, and identity in particular. The age of modernity has witnessed that change is the only constant phenomena for societal purpose to enhance our knowledge. Our information work for them is methodical and avoid paradoxically framework, which is neglected so many centuries from theory to become practice. The Center for Adivasi Research and Development sincerely believes in the concept of social marketing, which is seriously looking for non-profit marketing and build new social entrepreneurship for check and balance mechanism to glorify generations to come. Center for Adivasi Research and Development come to serve with the historic and holistic approach of critical thinking in education to fill the gaps and to plan accordingly for the voiceless communities, for beneficiaries direct in self-reflection South societies. Ladies and gentlemen, with this note, I'd like to stop here and welcome all our respected dignitaries over this memorandum of understanding meeting, and I would like to invite Professor Ashish Dwivedi ji for introduction of our guest in today's meeting. Over to you, Professor Ashish Dwivedi.
On this auspicious occasion of signing of research and development and city of Odisha, a plethora of distinguished academicians, educationists, in order to grace the occasion. We have academicians, educationists, people who have accomplished themselves in this field from all over India. I'll start chronologically. I first of all welcome Professor S.K. Nanda, senior IAS and the founding director of Vikramshila University. Sir is presently serving as the additional chief secretary of Gujarat. It is also not known to many that Sir started off as a journalist in Times of India way back during the emergency days, and he has been very active in the socio-political life of India. I also take the opportunity to welcome Professor Sanjay Naik, presently serving as the Vice Chancellor of Ravenshaw University. Sir has lovingly been referred to as the skilling man of India. He is also the pioneer of plastic technology in India, the founder of CIPET, I welcome you, sir. Also present in the occasion, we have Sanjay Palit, sir, presently serving as the Vice Chancellor of Central University of Odisha, a man from geology. Sir has 35 glorious years of uh, teaching experience, teaching and research experience. I also take the opportunity of welcoming Professor Mahadev Jaiswal, the Director of Indian Institute of Management, Sambalpur. Sir has been a renowned management as well as policy expert in the national scenario. His initiatives in tribal startups is a pioneering contribution in the field of academics. Due to his untiring efforts, IIM Sambalpur has recently signed a memorandum with Flipkart to sell indigenous products worldwide. I take the opportunity of welcoming Professor C.P. Nanda, Chandi Prasad Nanda. He is presently the Vice Chancellor in charge of National Railway Training Institution, Gujarat. Sir was the head of the Department of History at Ravenshaw University. Sir has been a guiding inspiration behind the creation of CAR. I take the opportunity to welcome Dr. Padmasri, Dr. Damayanti Besra, presently serving as the principal of MPC Autonomous College. Madam has been an expert in Santhali language, the promotion and preservation of Santhali language. And because and recognizing her untiring efforts in preserving the language, the government of India has awarded her with the Padma Shri. I take the opportunity of welcoming Professor Kishore Kumar Basa, presently serving as the Vice Chancellor of Sri Ramchandra Bhanjadev University. Sir has 40 years of teaching and research experience to back him. He was also a member of Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla. I take the opportunity of welcoming Professor Gaurang Chandra Panda, currently serving as the Vice Chancellor of Netaji Subhash Chandra University, Jharkhand. He was the former Director of School Education, Odisha, and he was the former PG Council Chairman of Ravenshaw University. I take the opportunity of welcoming Mr. Sarda Prasad Satpathy, lovingly known as Sarda Bhai. It is for all of us, it's a matter of pride for all of us to have him in the gathering. Sarda Bhai has been an active in the field of, he has been a socio-political activist, and his untiring efforts have gone into the field of Skill India movement, disaster management, flood control, and Mr. Sarda Prasad Satpathy is also actively involved in motivating the youth of India to harness their energy in the field of national development. I take the opportunity of welcoming Professor Dr. Sangeeta Ratha. Madam has been the former PG Council Chairman of Ravenshaw University. She is currently a member of Odisha Public Service Commission, a renowned psychologist. Madam has also been a visiting professor at Indian Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar. I take the opportunity of welcoming Srijukta Ashok Das, OAS. Sir is currently serving as the Secretary, Odisha Public Service Commission, a very senior administrator. Sir was also the former registrar of Ravenshaw University. I take the opportunity of welcoming Professor Srinivasalu S. He is reputed of being the youngest professor of India. Sir is serving National Law University. He is also a member of International Court of Justice. I take the opportunity of welcoming Professor Charudatta, Mr. Charudatta Panigrahi, a renowned economist, policy activist, an author, and a futurist. Also present in the meeting are Dr. Asit Kumar Das, Registrar, Central University of Odisha, Koraput, and Dr. Ram Sankar, Controller of Examination, Central University of Odisha, Koraput. Thank you. Thank you all for gracing the occasion and being here. It's over to you.
Thank you so much, Professor Dwivedi. And now I would like to invite Honorable Vice Chancellor of Central University of Odisha to carry forward the session.
Very good morning to everybody. I welcome all of you to this grand gathering of academic, administrative, and legal and social luminaries who are all present here to this grand gathering of online signing of MOU between CARD, Center for Adivasi Research and Development, and Central University of Odisha at Koraput for multimodal initiatives, projects on teaching, research, skilling, training, and global outreach. I think it is a great occasion that so many important people of different walks of life are here. Already a formal welcome has been given, but I also feel that we have Chief Guest Professor S.K. Nanda, IS, Founding Director, Vikramshila University. I welcome you, and as a Chief Guest and as connected with CARD, we wish that in course of time, your support, cooperation, and guidance is much needed. We have also Professor Sanjay Kumar Naik, presently Vice Chancellor, Revensa University, and former Director CIPET, International Scientist, and Professor Mahadev Jaiswal, Director IIM Sambalpur, our Chief Speaker, and who has created already a niche for IIM Sambalpur in the firmament of Indian management system and a name and fame, and Dr. Vikram Kumar Jana, the young dynamic director, and having large connectivity among various groups of people. And because of Vikram, I think we are here today. Dr. Vikram Kumar Jana, guest of honor Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, the Vice Chancellor in charge, then National Law and Transport University, Vadodara, Gujarat, Padma Shri Madam Damayanti Vesra, Principal MPC Autonomous College, Baripada, Professor Kishore Chandra Basa, Vice Chancellor North Odisha University, reputed social scientist and anthropologist, former Director, National Museum, and also a reputed person academically, and had a lot of contribution for tribal and anthropological research. Professor Gaurang Chandra Nanda, Vice Chancellor, Netaji Subhash University, Jamshedpur. Then one of our young professors of the country, Professor Srinivasulu NS, Professor of Law, NUJS, Kolkata, Advisor CARD, and Sri Sarada Prasad Satpathy, who has been closely linked with a CARD, a socio-political activist, Professor Sangeeta Ratha, Madam OPSC, Professor Ashok Kumar Das, Secretary OPSC, Sri Charudatta Panigrahi, futurist, author, and also a person with large connectivity across all aspects of life in India. He starting from Adivasi to the cabinet ministers to all, and combining all people together, very closely associated with CARD. Then Professor Sunil Kant Behera, a former professor of eminence from Tezpur University, presently Director, Advisor to Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Central University of Odisha, and Professor, Visiting Professor of Journalism, Central University of Odisha. Dr. Asit Kumar Das, our Registrar, Central University of Odisha, and Dr. Ram Sankar, members of CARD, and faculties and other members of Central University of Odisha. On this great occasion, when we are going to sign the MOU between Center for Adivasi Research and Development, I would like to tell that in the last 75 years of our country's history, We have done a lot of things. We have spent a lot for development of tribals, their socio-economic status, academics, everything. But I think we have not reached up to our expectation. And the Central University of Odisha, which was established in the year 2009 at Koraput, an important part of KBK region, with a hope that it will usher a new era of development around its, other than the academic firmament, it will create a condition where a lot of things can happen. Slowly things are coming up. And I think Koraput, which is situated amidst this tribal backdrop, the condition of tribals have not changed. These are highly underdeveloped regions of our state. Not only KBK, all the tribal districts of our state and the country have become neglected, maybe because of foresightness and the process of implementation. And a time has come when people from different sectors, as you see today, from the people who are from academics, administration, social groups, all have come together to do something concrete for the development of tribal. And tribal development simply does not mean spending some money, unless we know tribals and their development mode, and spending money has no means. So it is now a time that a proper perspective is required to understand tribals, their social life, their economic life, and what they need. And we cannot thrust on them. So on this background, I think we have developed a relationship with CAD. And I must tell you, since last 1 year, Central University of Odisha and CAD are very closely, intimately related. And we are sharing our online seminars with each other. And along with IIM Sambalpur, Central University of Odisha, Revensa University, and CAD, in the last 1 year, we have been launching seminars and we have been a part of it. I think now a time has come when we are cementing our ties in a direction where we can really achieve something in the long run. We have this MOU is for a global visibility, developing skills for tribal people or the people of the tribal region, and we can bring some focus really and working together. So on this background, this today's webinar has been arranged for signing up a MOU, and I wish the persons who are present here, they are very important on their own way and the position they are holding. I think when there is a determination and the people who are here, they have a lot of creativity and they can contribute. So I thank CAD for coming with us to Central University of Odisha. I thank Vikram and his team, and behind him, Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, Professor Jaiswal, Professor Sanjay Nayak. All these people have contributed immensely for behind the screen working. And I wish in the long run, the objectives with which we are going forward for signing a MOU will be fruitful, and we can really bring something for the tribal development and tribal upliftment in the region, not only in Odisha and in course of time to different parts of India. And our model can be one of the best model where variety of people from different sections of the society can work together. With these words, I now request one of our well-wishers, advisors, and who is actively with us, Professor Sanjay Kumar Naik, the Vice Chancellor, Revensa University, to speak few words on this occasion, on this auspicious occasion, to say few words, and while we are cementing our bonds with CAD. Professor Naik, Professor Sanjay Kumar Naik.
Esteemed Chief Guest, Professor Nanda, my friend, Professor Palita, in charge Central University of Odisha, Professor Basa, my friend, Vice Chancellor, North Odisha University, Madam Padmasri Damayanti Besra, who is very close to us. Recently, we introduced Santali language in Revensa with her effort. Friend Professor Nanda, Professor Satpathy, activist, Madam Sangeeta Ratha, Professor Ashok Das, Secretary, Odisha Public Service Commission, Sri Charudutta Panigrahi, Professor Gauranga Charan Nanda, again my friend, Director IIM, Professor Jaiswal, Professor Srinivasulu, Dr. Asit Kumar Das, and the dynamic director of CARD, Dr. Bikram Jana, with his team members, namely Professor Misra, Professor Das, Professor Loknath Misra, and all. Friends, it's a great day for all of us that this organization CARD has come to its full swing by joining hand with Central University Koraput and for the cause of tribals. A lot of people will speak a lot of things, but what the Vice Chancellor in charge, Central University said, probably time has come with this MOU. My solution will be, there will be a jumbo MOU where all these universities, all these IMs come together and join hands with CAD to ensure, particularly the tribal belt of the entire state of Odisha and India in particular, are immensely benefited for this noble cause of both teaching, research, and skilling. I will not say much about academic research. A lot of people are there to speak, but I have been named as a skill man. So basically, skilling is what? Skilling, we say that what is skilling exactly? If you remember, in our place, anywhere any work is required, we say a person who can do a little bit electrical work, little bit welding work, little bit cooking, little bit driving, we say jugadu. He's a jugadu. So he can do everything. But time has come, you need expertise. And if you see the European countries like Japan, the skilled people are the real people who run the show. So skill is basically an industry connect. And if you see the NEP, National Education Policy, if a physics boy is knowing about political science and a history boy knows about chemistry, and this industry connect make them more employable. And this is the need of the hour for the people who are, although quite competent in their subjects, but they do not become employable because they do not have that skill. So we have varieties of skilling, upskilling, reskilling. A lot of things are there. Many packages are there, whether it is IT or non-IT. I am sure with the universities, with the expertise which is joining hands with CAD, with the leadership of Central University of Koraput, I think the objective will be fulfilled and to make these tribal students of ours employable. So I don't want to talk much. My best wishes to Director CAD and his entire team. I am committed from Ravensa, and I'm sure with the leadership of Central University, we will all have one more meetings to have a understand how to go further after the MOU signed by Central University and how we can have a jumbo MOU so that when we reflect the entire activities of the tribal, we go as a mighty force and go pillar to post to see that these tribal students are immensely benefited. Thank you. Namaskar.
Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, please unmute. Hello.
Hello.
Professor Palita, please unmute yourself, sir.
Thank you, Professor Naik, for your nice words and advice, as well as we like that in the coming times, your support, active participation is necessary. And I assure that while going for action, we'll be there. And I wish that your support will be there and active participation will be there. And as you have rightly said, a time has come when we have to participate all together for a greater initiative for the development of tribals, their way of life, socio and cultural. Thank you, Professor Naik, for your presence and nice words. So now I will go to for an introductory talk on or introduction on this MOU. I'll request one of our young professors, advisor of CARD, Professor Srinivasu NS, Professor of Law, NUJS Kolkata. Dr. Srinivasu.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to one and all. It's a very happy and proud feeling to be part of the great galaxy of Indian academics who are part of this program. People ranging from law professor, management professors, historians, and other disciplines all have gathered here on a Sunday And that shows the kind of interest that academicians are having in promoting research. Generally, Sunday is the holiday for one and all, but academicians have chosen to work on Sunday, that too sacrificing their family life for the great cause of promoting the welfare and development of Adivasis and the research connected with that. And I believe that in the life of Adivasis, the kind of work that we researchers, scholars, and academicians will have to contribute is very much required in the current time. And in this regard, Center for Adivasi Research and Development is doing phenomenal job. And as an advisor of the center, I can tell all of you that we have conducted more than 300 programs already in the span of 2 years. And also, we are having one feather in the cap of the center by having an understanding with the Central University of Koraput. And we have been trying to get engaged with the different academic institutions like IITs, IIMs, central universities, and national law schools for the cause of taking their help and recourse towards the cause of development of Adivasis. And of course, Koraput being the national capital for Adivasis, unofficially, you may know, you don't know, sometime later, government of India may also consider in a similar way, because all other Adivasi areas in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Jharkhand, all are actually around Odisha. And Koraput being the well-known established Adivasi area. So I firmly believe that the Koraput being the capital for Adivasi and as well capital for Adivasi research and development as well, with this signing of MOU that is taking place today. So I call it as an historic event in the for the cause of research and development of Adivasis, as understood in a collaborative way by the Central University of Odisha and the Adivasi Research Development Center of Cuttack. And I also formally acknowledge the contributions made by various professors like Chandra Prasad Nanda, various social activists like and certain ministries, in particular Tribal Welfare Ministry, as currently held by Tudu Vishweshwar Bai, who is currently very busy in election campaigns. Otherwise, you would have also joined this program. And as well, Nayak sir, who is part of the Tribal Commission, National Tribal Commission, and all these people who have been working for the cause of Adivasi research and development. And we firmly believe that this kind of engagement that we're having today, to begin with the Central University of Odisha, Koraput, is going to take us in the days to come. And this Center for Adivasi Research and Development, which is currently situated in Odisha, is going to have a pan-India recognition. And I would like to see the center to be renamed as International Center for Adivasi Research and Development as well in the days to come, as we are envisaging the collaborations with some other nations as well, as far as research and development collaborations are concerned. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank the Vice Chancellor of Central University of Koraput for having an understanding with us. And I congratulate all the office bearers of the Center for Adivasi Research and Development for being part of this wonderful day, historic day, in fact, because there is no institution in India which is completely dedicated to the cause of research and development of Adivasis, like the Center for Adivasi Research and Development. Maybe there are certain universities having some Adivasi centers, research centers and all that, but this is completely dedicated without any profit orientation or without any expectation. The office bearers of Center for Adivasi Research and Development are actually working, and this kind of collaborations which are aimed at coming out with new ideas, knowledge generation, or are using the existing knowledge of Adivasis to further their cause. As one of my friends was mentioning, that Flipkart has signed MOU with IIM Sambalpur to promote the traditional artifacts of Adivasis in and around Odisha. So like that, our research and development should come out with certain value additions, and our research and development that we are collaborating for should come out with certain ideas, whereby we are actually going to not just help, but aid the Adivasi life as such, because the traditional knowledge which is associated with them, and we today talk about scientific knowledge, technological knowledge and all that. but Adivasis are possessing the knowledge which is part of their tradition, and the industrial application or scientific use of the same we are talking about as a scientific knowledge, and then for that we give the titles as scientists and technocrats as well. So therefore, I believe that this collaboration that we are having today is going to take us a long way in promoting the cause of the Adivasi research and development. I thank one and all and congratulate all the people who are party to this program. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Professor Srinivasulu, for nicely highlighting the objectives and future perspectives of this MOU to make it an international one and bringing all of India together under this banner. Very nice words. Thank you. And before moving to the next speaker, Mr. Charudutta Panigrai, I would like to say one thing that way back 2 months back, I got a message, I got a letter from the Honorable Minister for Tribal Affairs, Government of India, Sri Vishweswar Tuduji, regarding the card and coming together of like-minded academic institutions together. So though he could not be available, I wish his best wishes are there with us. And I thank Honorable Minister for his nice words. And I will also write him after this signing up a MOU that we are on the way and we require his support and cooperation for taking this forward. So I now request Sri Charudutta Panigrai, the author, futurist, and Mr. Panigrai is connected to Central University of Odisha since last 2 years. And he is also very much connected to the card, and we are constantly in touch. We discuss on various aspects of how to develop the life and livelihood of tribal communities, their way of life, everything. So now it is time to request Sri Charudutta Panigrai ji to speak few words.
Thank you, Sri Palita. Good morning to everyone. And it's really good to know that all of us have come together on this Sunday to discuss something very important, and congratulations to both the organizations. I'm associated with both the Central University of Odisha and CARD, and hello, Dr. Jana. It's really a good effort, and all of us are together to do something good. I have a few points. This is not for the first time that we are thinking of indigenous communities. And when I'm saying this with a bit of caution, because we are not doing any charity to indigenous community by promising to do anything for them. No, I belong to the indigenous community. We all are Adivasis. That's number one. Number two, for the last 7 decades and more, I, as a person from the soil, I have neglected my own brothers and sisters. That's the feeling with which we should carry out this MOU. I have done that because in the name of development, we have always been cynical about the various developmental schemes that are there. But I, as a citizen, I have not been able to do anything. I haven't done anything myself. So this is the time, and with this MOU, I expect and I hope that we will start working and not talking. Number three, what I mean by talking is there are brilliant schemes by Government of India and by the state government for the development of indigenous communities. There is no dearth of schemes. What we need to have is proper implementation. And when we are talking of implementation, you know what comes to my mind? Inclusive implementation. When we 10 people are here on this call, another 100 or 200 or 2,000 people outside, the stakeholders, should know what we are trying to do, and they should be a part of it. That is how inclusive growth can happen with the indigenous community. We exist, our economy exists, our 1 trillion, 5 trillion, 10 trillion economic growth, aspiration, and dreams exist on indigenous communities, exist in the soil of Koraput, exist everywhere. That's why I often call Koraput the wonderland, the future of Asia. If you look at economics, if you look at social life, everything starts from indigenous communities. They are our only strength. And if we don't take care of them, we know what's our future, including climate change. So we should understand the people first. We should be inside the community. So in the MOU, we will get into the details of what we intend to do. But my request is whoever comes under the purview of this MOU should work in the middle of the community, not inside classrooms only. So a lot of action research has to be done. A lot of in-community work has to be done. It is not a laboratory and they are not guinea pigs that we experiment with them. We need not experiment with them. We have enough programs which have done well, which have been phased out because of lack of sustainability. So the second point I want to tell you is that please design sustainable programs. By sustainability, what I mean is, I'll give you an example. Indigenous community youth need not be an electrician or a plumber. He can be a pilot. He can be an actor. He can be a theater person. He can be a writer. How do we meet the aspirations? I've given a TED talk on this, internalization of development. How do you take the youth in the natural course of their aspirational career growth or self-employment growth? So please let us try to develop entrepreneurship amongst them by not only doing some tokenism as we in the civil society have been doing. I would completely squarely put the responsibility on myself to have not been able to do so far anything concrete for the indigenous community. I welcome, this is a historic MOU or the historic agreement that two good well-meaning institutions have come together to do something concrete. And my last request is with the MOU, could you please mute everyone? I request the organizers, please mute everyone. Hello? Hello? Along with the MOU, I would request CARD and Central University of Odisha to also have a MOR, Memorandum of Review. What work will be done? Who is going to review? What will happen? What is the outcome? And what are the key deliverables? Please share the key deliverables also. Let us keep meeting every 3 months or every 6 months or every 1 year or whatever period you decide, and let us review what has been done. Otherwise, we are not. Otherwise, we are not new to MOUs. MOUs happen a lot. Almost every day we have a dime and dozen MOUs signed. So let us have a MOR also with the MOU. The Memorandum of Review. Who's going to review? Which is the task force? What are the key deliverables? How much have we achieved or how much we have not achieved? Let's be honest to ourselves. If we know what we have not achieved, then we can involve other stakeholders and make it achievable. So with these words, I mean, I have much more to speak, but there are others who can also share their thoughts and ideas. So let us start on a good note. This is a fantastic thing that has happened today and is going to happen. But please let us, from time to time, assess our work and see where we are going. Are we doing something which is written in that 2-pager or 3-pager or 5-pager MOU? Or is this a MOU for the sake of another MOU? So being a policy analyst, I'm actually concerned about where these policies are going. How are they implemented? Last mile implementation is all that matters. We have to change lives. We are here to change lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Panigrai, for speaking rightly regarding instead of tokenism, let us go for holistic development aspects. And instead of preaching, let us come together to work. And very nicely said. And I wish, as you have said, that it should not be like any other MOU. It should be a functional MOU working together. And I also assure you that in course of time, there will be a review also. And I wish you are also a part of it where we can take stock of things. Thank you. Now
I'll be happy to do that, sir. I'll be happy to do that. You know that I'm a part of all that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now I will request our chief guest, Professor Dr. S.K. Nanda IS, Founding Director, Vikramshila University, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Gujarat. Professor Nanda.
Thank you, our esteemed friends and all those who have today joined this platform for and dedicated themselves to the fact that Mr. Panigrai says that we have to be part of the entire ethnic community in order to change their and transform their lives. So we have been doing transactions so far, but we have never done the transformation so far. And I am one of those persons who do not fit into the general typographical description that I am very much an optimist, because I am a practitioner. As Mr. Panigray was saying, that I am a bureaucrat basically, and I have 30 years of mixing up, intervening, and critical interventions I have done in the Adivasi areas. And my own, when I measure myself, at least if not others, when I measure myself, my work, I find that I have really been able to make a big dent in the lives of those people because certain changes which have been brought, and I'll come to that. The very important fact today is that since Bikram has come out with a beautiful center which is trying to have an MOU with the universities of Central University, Koraput, which is now called the unofficially, but tomorrow I think it will become an ethnic capital of India. And a lot of projects are also a part of that. I was going through it, like the Lakshman Naik Museum is also a part of it. The Center for Leadership is coming also as a part of it. And basically, I have been also hitting one point that the Adivasis basically have to be changed, not sociologically, but psychologically. We have to give them the bargaining power first. We have to make these people not the recipients of the favors and the beneficiaries of the schemes, but we have to make them participants and also quite a stakeholder in the programs of implementation. And that is one of the reasons why the Dangs, which is one of the 99% tribal ethnic capital in Gujarat, was in the Planning Commission's most 10 backward districts of India. Now it is out of it since last 10 years. And the reasons I wanted to say was that I have been captaining the district, though Narendra Modi was the chief minister, and I told him that I'm not interested. I'm quite senior enough now not to captain it. He says that you continue till the time you do not retire. So I have been under different chief ministers. I have worked there, and I'm very much gleefully saying that I have taken their motifs, their art into the national arena. I have been able to promote their dances at the Republic Day. I have been able to go into research to say that they are the local diets which they take, millets they have got the maximum amount of nutritional value certified by the National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad. I have been able to include their Adivasi healthcare practices, the Jadi Booty system, to be an alternative healthcare, which was demonstrated very much during the COVID time when none of the people fell sick during that time. And a lot of Indian people, doctors who came to find out why they are not falling sick. We have also been able to say that how these people are able to preserve their culture. And at the same time, they have been able to take the benefits, how they could be able to agriculturally settle themselves, to rehabilitate themselves and to make a double crop, mixed crop. All these things have been taken up. But my only point is that when we are talking of Koraput here, I think our basic infrastructure of providing three things: light, connectivity of roads, and also water. If these three things are provided as a part of implementation, what Mr. Panigray was saying, if it is really implemented well, even if Mr. Chandi or Dr. Naik or Central University Vice Chancellor and me, we do not go there, 75% of the job is done. People are there, they are not the foolish people. They are very, very, very intelligent people to take care of the benefits of those schemes. Now that this MOU has been done, I would like to highlight that we have to, in the Bikramshila University, which is now also a part of the, future projects, future lineup, I would like to say that we should have some case studies on the successful Adivasis, how they have done, how they have developed. Those case studies should be circulated that they can go even to the national and the foreign universities. We have also to record the inspiring voices, because I have there is a lady called Mona Lisa. If you Google it, Panigray was talking of that, and I was very impressed with that. I have been one of the fellows who has first time in Gujarat in 1995. We started a concept called giving them entire full cost for getting commercial pilots, and a lot of pilots have been trained in the what you call the Adivasi world. Similarly, there is a lady called Mona Lisa, who wanted to become a stage artist and also have this, what you call this, edit the films and other. And she is now doing so extremely well that she's a center of attraction now, and she is composing songs, and her video cassettes are also on sale. So my point is that this Vikramshila University should come up with projects that have helped the tribals to really break through. They should also have the inspiring voices, the case studies of the people who have done well. And we should also have some refresher courses of the people who are in the system of administration to sensitize them and to see that they orient their minds, to see that the action is taken. Like, we do, the Harvard University does some kind of refresher courses for the officers, which is a part of their, I think, perks, they believe. But here we should not take it as a perk. It's a question of sensitization program, 2 weeks, 6 weeks program, which should sensitize the officers who are working as to how they should behave, what they should be able to target, how they should target, which way they will be able to reach them. These are all things which are to be all operationalized, because people do not know that the Adivasis need a different kind of a platter. It is not interacting with me and you as we normally do. So I would say that we have to change the method of functioning. We have to go for motivation. We have to go for improving their communication, and also at the same time not losing sight of the economics. Because ultimately, as Mr. Srinivas was saying, the law professor, the legal awareness among the Adivasis is also very minimal. So legal awareness connected with their communication abilities to gang up, to talk, to represent, their voices, whispering voices should be made louder. This kind of an approach has to be instilled, and at the same time taking care of economics would absolutely give a totalistic impact on their entire day-to-day life, whether it's a Koraput or dance or any person who is staying in the Chhattisgarh. Their food, their paintings, their health interventions, their nutritional varieties, they need further research. They have to be, we have to delve into say that what we are taking today in our so-called modern through the tomato, donado, all these kind of services is absolutely trash. What these people take, how they cook, what they cook, how much less oil they use, why they not suffer from the lifestyle diseases. This is no one has researched. I have myself researched to say that most of the Adivasis in that place, which I have worked and also in other districts, they have no fertility problems because they take these bamboo shoots. So I found out from the ICMAR chairman, Mr. Ganguly, whosoever was there at that time. He says that bamboo shoots are really those elements which give a lot of fertility to the people. And their entire morning is that when they go to the forest, they pluck themselves the bamboo shoots and they take it, or they use it in achar or in pickles and other things. So their lifestyle, it is not that they designed it for a science, but they have their traditional systems which support their system of fertility. So this is one of the reasons. Another reason is that hardly you will find cases of cancer happening in the Adivasis. The reason is this: their food style and the less of oil which they use and the walk they do, what you call the workouts which we are talking today through the gyms, they normally never prefer to go by routes. They always prefer to walk. At least one Adivasi walks 4 kilometers a day, whether willingly or unwillingly. So if these studies are made and a joint concerted action plan is raised, I think we would be able to say that they need to be the leaders in the programs. And other areas of life is that what are the identity, we have to identify the barriers today in each local pocket. Barriers to growth is what? The psychology, it is the sociology, it is the apathy, or it is the lack of resources, or it is the lack of infrastructure, or it is the kind of voices not coming, they are not demanding. What kind of, so we have to do a barrier analysis, what you call for the target intervention and need assessment also. If these things continue, I am sure I have been one of the very successful people who has established a Dang Ayurvedic pharmacy, which is the only pharmacy in the entire India in the cooperative sector, which is having a 50 crores turnover. We started with a 10,000 grant from my own as a district development officer. Now it is one of the best selling at par with Himalaya Pharmacy. but not recognized in the marketing world, because these people are short of marketing. And I have lived that district long before, and I am not a Adivasi myself to be a president to see that it is being done. I was supporting it till now. My only hunch is this, that the barrier should be, if they are not identified properly, we will not be able to cross the tunnel properly. And Panigrahi was talking of one point, I agree with one of his things, is that we should have some kind of a benchmarks. What we are trying to do in the next 1 year, well, I call it outcome analysis or benchmarking. Benchmarking of actions, benchmarking of policies, benchmarking of resource allocation. All these have to be done. And for that, necessary follow-up have to be done. And I'm sure we'll be able to do a great job. And Vikramsala University can have lateral partnership with your great universities of Odisha, which are Central University, and our Mr. Naik, who is now VC Katak, Ravinsha. In fact, I was involved with the CPET in Ahmedabad when it started, and I know what kind of role we have been able to play and how things can happen. And I'm sure if we have a little bit of an involvement, I think we'll be able to have absolutely transformation. There is no problem which doesn't have a solution, and there is no solution to which doesn't begin with a problem. So this optimism should rule us everywhere, and I'm sure we would be able to have some kind of outcomes in short time. Thank you.
Sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
So thank you, Professor Nanda, for your very nice and innovative aspects of dealing things in the future and creating a benchmark. I am certain that with your vast experience in administration, founding the Vikramsila University, as well as working functionally with the people of tribals of Gujarat, and you have shown the result. And as you are saying about the Ayurvedic pharmacy, you have started all these. So I have one thing to tell. No doubt we want to go for benchmarking everything, but you see, we know that everywhere there are very few people who really works. And Central University of Odisha, though trying its best, we have very limited resources. But I wish you and many others who are present here, we require a little bit of handholding to work together. And I wish in the first review meeting, maybe within 3 to 4 months, I require your support and presence at Koraput. Like Professor Naik, Professor Jaiswal, I want that please come to Koraput, have a dialogue there, stay there for 2-3 days, and we will certainly make it functioning. Thank you for your nice and kind words. So now I will go to
just a minute, Mr. Naik.
Yes.
I missed out to say that I was a part of the Odisha government during Biju Babu's time. I was there on deputation between 1991-92. We started the Swamul Rampur tourism projects were started by me. The Rayagada, I have absolutely toured all these areas, including that Gandhi Institute that was coming up, that engineering college, that was the time. And I started the Konark festival in Odisha. Probably people don't know. Konark started with me. And that Satapada, that what you call the Dolphin Center also was started by me. Though they are not tribals of Puri, but the people, there was a felt need that people should get some employment. So we started it. So my point is that if the eye meets, there has to be an eye to catch the points. And if the catching the points is correct, I think things will follow. This is not a problem.
Thank you. So I am again thankful to Professor Nanda for his pioneering works and for his energetic words and words of optimism. Thank you, sir. We wish in course of time we have to work together. Now I will be calling Professor Mahadev Jaiswal, Director, Indian Institute of Management, Sambalpur, as Chief Speaker. And I want to say that when it was mooted that Sambalpur will have IIM, many people in Odisha are not optimistic. Whether it will survive, whether it can have a real name. But I wish with his leadership, with the leadership of Professor Jaiswal, this has become one of the very reputed Indian Institute of Management and making strides. And he is a person with innovation, dedication and determination, and he is making things to change. And last year, while Professor Ramramam, our Vice Chancellor, was there and we started Executive MBA, I had a good time to listen to him. his very nice innovative talk, and how actually innovation can come and we can make changes in the lives of the people. He very nicely elaborated. I wish I'm really thankful to Bikram that Professor Jaiswal is a member where we are planning together. So with these words, I request Professor Jaiswal to say a few words. Professor Jaiswal.
Thanks, Professor Palita, and good morning, everyone. Chief Guest, Honorable Professor Eshkananda, Director Vikramsil International University. Guest of Honor, my friend Professor Sanjay Nayakji, Vice Chancellor, Odisha University. And of course, Professor Palita, Vice Chancellor, Koraput University, Central University. And Mr. Vikram Jena, Director of CART. Many other distinguished speakers and academicians, and Mr. Charudatta Panigreji. It's a great day, I would say, and my first congratulations to CARD and Central University Koraput for having started this MOU, with this MOU, this kind of initiatives. And I'm sure this will grow further. And it's a very unique activity, I would say, that whole world is talking about the developed part of the world and elite part of the world. But this particular center is talking about the grassroots level of people which also deserve better treatment. I would like to say that I am Sambalpur is also very much committed with CARD. We have been working with Mr. Jena, Vikram Jena, and I've been talking that what can be done. And you rightly mentioned that, Mr. Srinivas mentioned that next week we are signing formal MOU with Flipkart, and I am Sambalpur to promote handicraft, handloom, and weaving product of local communities and tribals and farmers to globalize the grassroots innovations-based products. That is the first step, but many such things can be done. What I would like to say is, we have seen the development model in the industrial age, where the Western part of the world, US and Europe, were the major beneficiaries, and India actually was lagging behind in terms of coming out in the front in the innovation. But now the things are changing. Now we are in the digital age. In digital age, you can see there are three major drivers of change which is happening. One is that everything is getting digitalized: education, health, business, service, manufacturing. The second change is happening on the climate regulation, where we are talking about 17 SDG Sustainable Development Goal of United Nations. And third driver, which is also happening, is called democratization of everything, business as well as society. And that is where the startup age is starting. In these three fronts, I think that India has an advantage, because in terms of digitalizations, India has world the best manpower and human resource, and also technological resource now, because majority of world developed part of the world is taking services from Indian IT and digital companies. So in terms of digitalization index or digitalization strength or capacity, India outscores most of the developed part of the world. The second area, that is in terms of climate regulations, India has been participating in Paris Accord and even Glasgow Summit. And our Prime Minister is taking lead in the COP26 and many other initiatives, and has given commitment that we will roll out decarbonizations in next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and we'll come out with more renewable and sustainable development in terms of energy consumption. Although we need to do a lot of work, because in this area, India is lagging behind from the Western part. Many European countries have already moved into zero carbon. Third area, which is democratization of organizations and business, that is called startups. As we all know, India has already reached world third largest ecosystems after US, China, and India. India is the third ecosystem. So the startups, where more than 80 plus unicorn is already there today, and more than 60,000 startups are registered. Now, these are the change which is happening, and I'm sure right now most of the developed cities of our country is getting benefited. Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai. But thanks to digitalizations, it is very much possible that tier 2 and tier 3 cities also can take the major and leading part. Now, coming to this particular initiative, that what CARD and Koraput Central University do in terms of tribal participation in this field. I would say that because I come from the management institute and I strongly believe on the action. Definitely, we need to do thorough research first, create ideas, debate the way we are doing, but concrete action plan has to be taken. And I fully agree with Professor Nanda and Charudatta ji that we should now come and create actual activity. So I would suggest in these three areas, like how digitalization, because digitalization doesn't require any road or any infrastructure. It requires digital connectivity and smart applications, and the way education, health, everything is moving. I would like that Koraput Central University must create one showpiece where tribals activities can directly can be connected. For example, legal help. A lot of times they lose their land, they lose their many things because they don't get high quality legal support. Maybe through digitalizations, you can connect with a lot of voluntary advocates of high courts, Supreme Courts, and many other leading lawyers who would like to work with the tribals remotely. You don't have to visit because these days everything is on digital. And you can create a digital based legal aid center, innovations that can be unique activity as well, because nowhere in the world has that been done. You can use the access of database, and it's part of the, we talk about CSR, we can talk about individual CSR. Like as a person, I would like to spend maybe 10% of my time for the cause of the underprivileged or tribals or lower section of the society who don't have access to high quality law. Same way, you can also create high quality educations. In educations, for example, not necessarily that physically everybody is traveling now. Remotely, every education is happening. So in order to take the advantage, you create a state-of-art digital-based education center, which can be provided a large, which can have access to a large number of children and those who would like to have educations at Koraput or remote places. As a showpiece, just to say center. And in terms of your startups, I'm sure most of the startups, 99% of the startups today are digital based. When you talk about blockchain, cryptocurrency, I feel that tribals also deserve those kind of technology based innovation startups. Maybe a tribal startups can be created because they already have product value. I was talking that what can be done for the farmers, then I was told that no, if you just get into the tribal handicrafts and weavers handloom, the product is already there, only in terms of reach, market reach. So that is where the business educations and business applications can be thought of in terms of how to actually create startups of those companies, those remote people who have the product but don't have the market reach. So in terms of democratizations, I think we can democratize the business, we can democratize educations, we can also democratize health services, because fortunately, whole world is in the same platform now in terms of these three fronts. And therefore, I feel this is the right time that we should also create a showpiece that how these modern changes which are going to happen in next 20, 30 years, we also start same time for the remote organizations like tribal centers or card centers or maybe Koraput University Center. And in terms of climate regulations, I think we should make sure that whatever digitalization is happening in the remote place, we do have the energy also modern. Like we should have solar energy, we should have wind energy, we should have the hydrocarbons, which is based on agriculture. So those are the areas. If you start doing, I think you automatically will be known in the world. You cannot compete today in terms of research publication, in terms of access to the cities, etc. But the way you can create innovations, that is where I think nobody will be able to compete with you. So that is where I feel we must create some centers around these three areas. One can be around digitalizations, how digitalizations can help tribal community in a big way in terms of law or in terms of business. Second is in terms of renewable energies, in terms of the future energy, how we can think of creating those sorts of energy while digitalizing in a big way. And third is in terms of a startup that is democratizing the business, how can we create those unique centers and create business models which immediately can be started. You may have to take help of some leading companies like Flipkart and many things. They'll be, I'm sure, will be very much happy because they also want their brand around this. So with this kind of action plan, I think you will be able to showcase, and that will create enough, enough strength and enough directions. And you are, like today, I strongly believe that location doesn't have a problem now because of this. Earlier, location was a challenge because people had to physically travel. So you need airport, you need connectivity. But today, even in city, nobody is traveling, and I'm sure this will continue. That is the advantage. Actually, we have taken that advantage. I am Sambalpur. We created a huge amount of digitalization across our classroom, and we connected with all the companies, and we were the leading in this in terms of online proctoring, everything, exams, all. So that created a name, and that's why we were able to attract industries and brand, etc. And also, we thought there are two gaps in the world. We analyzed when we were creating our vision that what is the gap in India. India, we found that India, despite having the best human resource, best natural resource, was still a developing countries. And the gap was in terms of management practice, we were lacking entrepreneurial skill. India was poor in entrepreneurs. Everybody wants jobs here. Nobody wants to create jobs. So, and jobs were created by mostly multinational companies, not by Indian companies. So that was the gap. And then we studied the worldwide, what is the gap in management, and we discovered that whole world is developing very fast, Western part, but they lack the sustainability of responsibility because they're creating a society which is not sustainable, which is not responsible. They're just creating a very niche for their own very small group, and 90% of the population is ignored. So the worldwide, the gap is lack of inclusiveness, and India gap was entrepreneur mindset. So when we created our vision, we said, IIM Sambalpur will be an institute which nurture responsible leader with entrepreneur mindset. So I'm sure that is the line which I think we have to take. We take the what is required in the world and what is gap in India, and then come out with your ideas, and then you get into the action immediately in collaboration model, because today it is possible to collaborate with worldwide, and I have seen card activities, and all the eminent professors of the whole world have been speaking in this center and activities. I'm sure Koraput and Center University and card will create a niche in these lines, and we are all with you. And thank you very much for inviting me, and I wish this center to grow in a big way, and all the best.
Thank you, Professor Mahadev Jaiswalji, for your nice and innovative idea. And I think almost you have created a roadmap for us. And really, it is important that we provide legal support, startups, and whatever you have said, renewable energy, all these are really important. And with support of people like you and advice and guidance of people like you, we can in the long run certainly achieve it. And thank you for your very nice words and encouraging words. Let us work together. Now I thank Vikram also inviting Professor Kishore Chandra Vasa, who is a person who has worked, who has combined administrative skills and academics, and he is a ground worker who has worked with the tribals. He is a very eminent sociologist and anthropologist, and he is leading the North Odisha University since last 1 year. And I now wish, sir is not well, he is suffering, but in spite of that, his enthusiasm for academics is no less. I wish he recovers early, and I request Professor Kishore Chandra Vasa to say a few words regarding this MOU. Professor Vasa, sir.
Respected Professor Palita and members of the CARD, and very distinct and distinguished persons associated with this very interesting and innovative program. I congratulate CARD as well as the Central University of Odisha for this signing of this MOU. And as Mr. Panigrahi was suggesting, I think it will be not another MOU, it will be rather a path-breaking approach for the cause of the tribals of this country, and should I say for the whole world. I'm not keeping well because I was suffering from COVID. I'm just recovered and recovering. I'm very weak. Therefore, I will not speak much. Two things I would like to point out, having my experience in last 40 years in this state. First of all, let me, and I'm very consciously saying this, for God's sakes, let us not be condescending in our attitude. Because if at all the programs have failed in this country as far as this tribal development is concerned, it is because of the condescending attitude of the persons responsible for implementing the project. Because we think that we are changing them. We must have respect for them. We must be sensitive towards them. I mean, to me, it is equally important what should be done. But to me, it is more important than how it should be done. Because the tribal people are very sensitive people. If we do not handle them in a sensitive manner, whatever goal you have got, whatever ambitious plans you have got, whatever very high sounding or sort of very idealistic sort of goals are there, these are failing because we are not very sensitive to the way they think. So let us try to respect them. That is the first sort of approach that I would like to say. The second point I would like to say is that, you know, when we are talking of the crisis of anthropology in 21st century, I think it is said that the relevance of anthropologists as the spokespersons for the tribal or marginalized sections of the people is steadily coming to an, I wouldn't say coming to an end, but it is steadily going down the hills because they themselves have now to speak for themselves. It is, they don't require any middleman. They don't require any agency to speak for them. Therefore, when we are trying to work for them, we shouldn't think that they do not know anything. They are now trying to speak for themselves. So they are asserting themselves. So therefore, I would rather say that if at all we are interested in, sincerely interested in implementing our ideas, two things are necessary. First of all, let us shun our condescending attitude that we are here to change them. Mind you, if they don't like to change themselves, no amount of your ideology is going to change them. Therefore, it is with the sense of respect towards them that we will say that yes, we are here. These are the ideas. Please look into this and please accept whatever is acceptable to you. And that is the spirit with which we will to work. And secondly, that they are no longer, they should not be, this term marginalized sort of communities, these are very good terms for writing essays in examination. But then the marginalized people are also trying to assert themselves. Therefore, the marginal voice is coming as a center voice. You cannot, as Mr. Panigra was suggesting, you know, you can't just ignore them. Today you might call them marginal, but tomorrow you have to listen to them. Therefore, it is good that CARD is taking this kind of approach, and Central University of Odisha has assembled a number of distinguished. I'm privileged to be associated with this program. I have got many things to say, but I would restrict myself today for this. I wish this program all success, and I'm sure with a galaxy of intellectuals and practitioners, civil servants, civil society persons, I'm sure something meaningful is going to happen in the Central University of Odisha in Koraput. Many people say that there is a locational disadvantage of Koraput being the Central University being located in Koraput. I always say that, do you think that all the institutions will be set up in state capitals? Then do you think that you are going to perpetuate this unevenness in economics, in education, in everything? So let Central University of Odisha take this leadership along with CARD to distinguish, to carve out a distinct niche, as Professor Mahadevan was, Professor Joyceval was rightly saying, that you know how its unique location can be can have a unique way of justifying its location and contributing to the cause of the surrounding tribals of the region, and let it be so a new path not only to region of the undivided KBK district, but also to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. I congratulate once again both CARD as well as Central University of Odisha for this MOU, and I'm sure something meaningful is going to happen in the near future. My sincere thanks to all of you for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Professor Basa sir, for your encouraging words and the right perspective in which we should understand tribal development. So nicely said, and sir, we require a right perspective, and as you say that for a even growth, any part of India can be developed, not the capital cities. So Koraput can be developed, Kemika region can be developed, and all our underdeveloped regions can be developed, provided we have a right perspective. Thank you, sir. So now I will request Professor Gaurang Chandra Nanda, who was a professor of education, a administrator of success, and now presently the Vice Chancellor of Netaji Subhash Bose University, Jamshedpur. Professor Gaurang Chandra Nanda.
Hello.
Yes, sir, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you, Palis sir, for giving me this opportunity to say something to the enlightened audience over there. Esteemed Sudeep sir, the chief guest of the program, Director CARD, Mr. Dr. Bikram Jena, and kudos to Vice Chancellor Central University, Professor Palita, and Director Center for Adivasi Research. And this is an opportunity for all of us. When a memorandum of understanding is signed by two organizations, there is enough scope. Firstly, we can have different ethnographic research projects in collaboration with CARD. This is for the university, to my mind. And we can do a bit of extension activities by the Central University through this CARD. Recently, under Unnat Bharat Abhijan, a community-based research project has been implemented. And fortunately for all of us, the Central University Koraput has been identified as one of the zonal centers. And I hope with this collaborative transaction, we can do something. And I will give an example to support, to substantiate what has been said by Sudeep sir. Yes, sir, you are right when you say that there is transaction, but there is no transformation. I will give you an example from education sector. We launched a project there called multilingual education. And it was decided by government that the tribal youth who belong to that community will be appointed. In Koraput, as far as I know, there are different tribes. I have visited all the blocks of Koraput. And while serving Revensa University in connection with a project, Implementation of Right to Education Act, I visited one of the MLE schools. And I found that a teacher belonging to scheduled tribe community is there. But whatever he says, it is not understandable for the target group because he belongs to another tribe. So here, the problem failed, and all youngsters have been inducted to the system without any training by government. And I went to the DO concerned, आजकल इसको कहते हैं district education officer. And when I told him, how could it happen like this? Is it the instruction of the government? He told me that he doesn't know that the project is being implemented. So the problem in Koraput is concerted effort. There is no coordination. Therefore, there is no transformation. And through this collaborative project, it can also promote tribal culture, tribal art, things like that. And I think a great future for this collaborative exercise. And we have people from multiple disciplines in the organization, those who are also present here. Very good suggestions have been given by different people of eminence. And before taking up anything, any project, any initiative, as observed by Professor Basa, we have to be sensitive towards the tribals. I know that they are good producers, but they are not very prompt in economic activities. Still then, still now, if you visit a Koraput market in a village area, you will find that quid pro quo system. They don't have a weighing machine in the vegetable market. So this sort of awareness building should start so that everything can be improved. And I know that there are some patches in Koraput which are doing very well compared with people here in coastal areas. Tribal people, illiterate, they are also very much conscious of the education of their wards. But we people, we have opened their model schools, we have forgotten their language. These are the problems. We can have a learning material development center in Central University, Koraput, and we can work in close collaboration with the community, and we can give them materials. And in fact, whatever has been discussed and whatever I am trying to present, it all relates to our new education policy 2020. Multi-pronged action and transformation, that is important. So people of different disciplines are here. I request that they should have an actionable plan. It should be monitored, it should be reviewed from time to time, and we should show some outcome to the world so that this collaboration will be successful. Otherwise, the signing of memorandum
Hello.
with all of. Thank you so much, Chandishar, Vikramji, and others, Palis sir included, for giving me this opportunity to share my views. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Nanda, for your nice words and implementation of actionable ones. It's rightly said, and we'll see that things goes as we wish, and really we want that there must be action and transformation need to take place. So now I will request Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, in charge Vice Chancellor, National Law and Transport University, Vadodara, Gujarat, and a person who is actively involved and handholding with the card and seeing that card, and he also wished sincerely that Central University Odisha and card should come together and we transfer all these thoughts into action. Professor Nanda.
Sir, probably Professor Nanda are not connected well. I think you now invite Ashok Das.
Madam Besra is there?
Madam Besra is there, sir. Sir, he's in duty, sir. She probably till last, sir.
Okay. So now I am requesting Sri Ashok Kumar Das, Secretary, Odisha Public Service Commission.
Very good afternoon to everybody. Actually, my regards and respects to all the elite members of this card organization and faculty directors of IIMs, Central University Odisha. Actually, I have some very genuine concern because when I listen to Professor Basa sir, I am reminded that who defines the paradigm of development? What is the contour of development? Is it social capital or is it economic capital? As we know, the Adivasis are not only sensitive, they are simple, they are culturally strong, cohesive, they have a rich tradition, they have rich custom, and they enjoy a social capital. But we measure it from our perspective in only economic setup, employment, how much they are employed, what is their economic per capita income, what is their level of education, what is so we view our developmental paradigm the way we have been evolved to, but they have their own paradigm. So we say they are underdeveloped, but I don't know what they feel for themselves. But I have a bitter experience of working in a project nearby in Jajpur district, where we thought that, hello, hello,
Please carry
am
on.
I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
When I was made to see for myself that the industrialization themselves has not transformed the lives and livelihood of people around, for which it was meant and it was purported that coming of the industrialization will set the economic lackadaisical approach of the Adivasis and bring a transformation in their life, has never happened, because the initiative, the kind of promise didn't come from them. We from outside interfered, and we thought that this roadmap shall be applicable for them. I have seen, you see, the major countries like Aborigines of Australia, the Canada, the USA, everywhere find they are the greatest anthropologists, developmental experts have come to this irrefutable conclusion that the measurable yardsticks that we define for our developmental model is not necessarily applicable to those people who have their own different perspective and perception about the developmental goal. Our PESA was in that, it was conceived and was modeled in that sense, where the developmental paradigm will come from bottom to top, not from top to bottom. So in this aspect, being sensitive to their concern, needs, and moreover, to nurture and to take care of their culture, custom in a sustainable and eco-friendly way that they inhabit. Perhaps that is the challenge. I ask myself, when I interact with a Adivasi and tribal, how much is language I am well aware of, how much time I have spent in their living conditions, what is their psychological makeup, so how that define their the worldview. So taking to these 2 points together is a huge challenge. The market economy, bringing about them exposed to market, direct linkage of their product to be marketed, may be a model, but that model not necessarily be sustainable and not necessarily will change their life in the way we think it to be, because they have a social capital. I think that economy and social capital, they don't see eye to eye each other. Unless until there is social cohesion, social kind of empathy, social building that takes care of all aspects. Money is not everything, but neither being rich it doesn't make any sense unless until we have that is known as the wellness, the all-round wellness that should pervade, and they represent a sample of that wellness. Actually, notwithstanding the poverty, we look at them. So my understanding will be how sensitively, how seriously, how honestly we adapt our process with their thoughts, and they become the vanguard of their own developmental priorities. They will guide us, they will give their views, and only then we can look upon that and prepare our blueprint and roadmap. Perhaps that is the conjunction I want to emphasize here, that instead of becoming an interfering agency from outside, we must promote and propagate how the inner urges should come, that maybe entrepreneurial or maybe anything, that the project, that their thought process should be given the priority. They will guide us and we will be in the process of implementing it. But nonetheless, it is a small step, though we are coming to an MOU, but it has a future, it has a road ahead actually, which is somewhat, I can say, looks okay, looks promising, but we have to have a clear-cut strategy and clear-cut plan of action to that take all these priorities into account. So I wish it a good luck, but many of my predecessors have spoken, there is nothing, no need to be complacent here. It has to come to a more reflection, more kind of enthusiastic involvement and a kind of impassioned approach, because we want to see that everywhere the wellness pervades. So the tribal culture will be protected, their sensitivity will be protected, and they will perceive themselves to develop, but not the way we define them. So this is a small step though, but it has that potential. So I am very privileged to be part of this webinar, and I wish the organization that has mandated itself with that goal will keep its journey in a befitting direction and will bring and impact the lives of the people around. And that is the, I hope, and we must work towards that end. Thank you so much.
Mr. Das, for your valuable words regarding how to undergo development, and in a positive sense, you have said that we have to work together. Thank you for your nice words. Now I will request Padma Shri Dr. Damayanti Besra, Principal, MPC Autonomous College, Baripada. Madam Damayanti Besra. Yes, madam.
धन्यवाद सर। आज वेबिनार चीफ गेस्ट प्रोफेसर एसके नंद, फाउंडिंग डायरेक्टर विक्रमशिला इंटरनेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी, गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर प्रोफेसर संजय कुमार नायक, वीसी रेवेन्सा यूनिवर्सिटी, प्रोफेसर शरद कुमार पालिता, वीसी सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी कोरापुट, डॉक्टर विक्रम केसरी जेना, डायरेक्टर कार्ड, प्रोफेसर महादेव जयसवाल, डायरेक्टर IIM संबलपुर, प्रोफेसर चंडी प्रसाद नंद, NRTI बदोदरा, प्रोफेसर किशोर कुमार बसा, VC महाराजा श्रीराम चंद्र भंज यूनिवर्सिटी बारिपदा, प्रोफेसर गौरांग चंद्र नंद, VC नेताजी सुभाष यूनिवर्सिटी जामशेदपुर, प्रोफेसर श्रीनिवासालु एडवाइजर कार्ड, शारदा प्रसाद सतपथी सोशियो पॉलिटिकल एक्टिविस्ट, प्रोफेसर संगीता रथ मेंबर OPSC, श्रीजुक्त अशोक दास OAS सेक्रेटरी OPSC, चारुदत्त पाणिग्राही ऑथर एंड फीचरिस्ट, डॉक्टर असित कुमार दास रजिस्ट्रार सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी, डॉक्टर रामशंकर कंट्रोलर ऑफ एग्जामिनेशन सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी, वेबिनार रे जॉइन करिथिबा सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी रो समस्त स्टाफ मेंबर एवं अन्य माने समस्त को मु मोर नमस्कार जणाउछि। प्रथमत आज मु बहुत खुशी जे कार्ड एवं सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी मिसिकी ए जो प्रोग्राम करछंती सेति पई मु धन्यवाद जणाउछि। मु तो समस्त को सुनिली जाहो परीक्षा स्टार्ट हो जाइथिला तापरे मते समय मिलिछि, समस्त को मु सुनिछि, सबु VC मान को सुनिली एवं समस्त जहा सबु एठारे कहिले से सबु को ओ मु खूब भलो भाबरे बुझिली एवं जानिबार सुजोग मु पाइली, सेति पई समस्त को मु धन्यवाद दउछि। तबे आज जेहेतु मते एठी कहिबार सुजोग दैछंती डॉक्टर विक्रम केसरी जना एवं सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी मिसिकी जो वेबिनार होची सेति पई मते खुशी लागुछि जे एई अवसर रे मु 5टी यूनिवर्सिटी रो VC मान को देखिबार सुजोग मु पाइली एवं से मान को मध्य मु सुनिली। तबे मोर जो व्यक्तिगत अनुभूति जहा रहिछि, मु जेतु टीचिंग लाइन रे अछि ताकू मु आपण मानक सम्मुख रे रखुछि। हमर एठी महाराजा पूर्णचंद्र स्वयं शासित महाविद्यालय जोटा को आपण MPC ऑटोनोमस कॉलेज बोली समस्त जानिछंती। एठी आमे संताली डिपार्टमेंट खोलिछु 2014 रु हमर यूजी रे ऑनर्स पढ़ा होछि एवं 2016 रु PG रे मध्य संताली लैंग्वेज रे पढ़ा होछि। हमर एठी जो श्रीरामचंद्र भंज विश्वविद्यालय रहिछि सेइथिरे मध्य संताली डिपार्टमेंट अछि एवं खुशीर कथा होछि ए वर्ष अर्थात 2021 रे हमर एठिकार जो प्रोफेसर वर्षा सार से गोटे पवित्र कुंज बोली गोटे एठी स्थापन करिसंती यूनिवर्सिटी रो परिसर भितरे। ए जो पवित्र कुंज बा सेक्रेड ग्रोव बोली जोटा को कुहा जाउची सेटा होची ट्राइबल मानकर, किंतु एहा जे खाली केवल ट्राइबल मान को पई से करिसंती से कथा नुह। एठी किभଳି भाबरे ट्राइबल एवं नॉन ट्राइबल समस्ते जैव विविधता किभଳି संरक्षण करा जाई पारिबो सेथि पई से उद्यम करिसंती। तेनु ए प्रोग्राम माध्यम रे मो सार को मोर कृतज्ञता जणाउछि, धन्यवाद जणाउछि, जेतु से जेभଳି भाबरे कहिले आदिवासी मानक संपर्क रे, जेतु से ए मयूरभंज बासिंदा से आदिवासी मानक भलरे बुझिसंती एवं आदिवासी मानक पई कोन कोले से माने पढ़िबा पाई उत्साहित हेबे अन्य मानक सहित मिसिबा पाई उत्साहित हेबे से काम से करछंती सेति पाई सार को कृतज्ञता जणाउची तत्सहित रेभेन्सा यूनिवर्सिटी रो भिसी सार जो अछंती प्रोफेसर नायक से मध्य तांको विश्वविद्यालय रे 2021 रु संताली भाषा रे एसीसी पढ़ेवा पाई से अनुमति देइछंती से इंट्रोड्यूस करि सारछंती सेति पाई मध्य सार को मु धन्यवाद जणाउची तबे मोर विशेष किछि कहिबार नाही मु समस्त को सुनिली मोर केवल गोटे प्रस्ताव रहिछि जे जेहेतु आमे आदिवासी मानकर उन्नति कल्पे चिंता करूचे आदिवासी मानकर विकास पाई आमे चिंता करूचे सेति पाई प्रथमे हमकु शिक्षाटा ही देखिबा पाई पड़िबो से माने जदि शिक्षित न हेबे ताहले आगो को बढ़ी परिबे नाही एटा मु भलो भाबरे जानिछि तेनु सेही दृष्टिरु ओ आजिरो प्रोग्राम रे मु एठी कहूछि कार्ड एवं यूनिवर्सिटी मिसिक जे भଳି भाबरे प्रोग्राम करछंती आगामी दिन रे मु चाहिबी जदि यूनिवर्सिटी मानकरे लिंग्विस्टिक डिपार्टमेंट खुला हुए लिंग्विस्टिक डिपार्टमेंट खोला हेबा फଳରେ आदिवासी भाषा मानकर अध्ययन हेई परिबो तेनु यूनिवर्सिटी हम एके तो एभଳି देखिबा पाई गले हम ओडिसा रो यूनिवर्सिटी रे लिंग्विस्टिक डिपार्टमेंट प्राय नाही बरमपुर रे अछि एवं कल्चर यूनिवर्सिटी रे ही रहिछि तेनु लिंग्विस्टिक डिपार्टमेंट खोली की जदि आदिवासी भाषा रो अध्ययन एवं संरक्षण करा जाय ताले निश्चित भाबरे से माने शिक्षा दिगरे सेमानकर विकास हेबो कारण आमे जानिछे ओडिसा रे जो 62 प्रकार आदिवासी अछंती से 62 प्रकार आदिवासी मानक भितरु वर्तमान 22 टी मात्र आदिवासी भाषा जीवित अछि एवं ए जो 22 टी भाषा को भी जदि आमे ध्यान देबानी तार संरक्षण करिबा नाही ताहेले निश्चित भाबरे हम ओडिसा रो गोटे महान बहुमूल्य संस्कृति को आमे हरेबा तेणु आदिवासी भाषा गुड़िकर सुरक्षा निमंते तांकर जो लोकगीत रही लोक कहानी रही संस्कृति रही नृत्य गीत रही से सबू को आमको संरक्षण करने पड़ो खाली आमे सेमाननको पई किछि प्रोग्राम करदेले हबो नाही किंबा म्यूजियम करदेले हबो नाही कारण म्यूजियम भितरे सेमाननको आमे एक प्रकार सब करिकि रखि दउछे तांकर सब गुड़िक सेठी आमे देखौछे फ्रीडम फाइटर हुंतु किंबा तांकर जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट रही पोशाक रही से माने किभଳି रहुचंती एगुडी को देखै देले तो हबो नाही सेमानकु हमको जीवंत करी रखिबा पाई पड़िबो से माने किभଳି भाबरे अनुभव करि परिबे जे हम पाई किछि करा जाउची एवं हमर उन्नति पाई चिंता करा जाउची एटा केवल यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल रे कले तो हबो नाही ग्रासरूट लेवल रो एटा करिबा पाई पड़िबो जदि प्रोग्राम माध्यम रे से सब करा जाय ताले प्रकृत रे सेमानकर विकास हेई परिबो जेहेतु यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल रे प्रोग्राम होची सेथि पाई सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी कोरापुट रो वीसी महोदय को मु निवेदन करूची सर आपनकर यूनिवर्सिटी रे जो ट्राइबल स्टूडेंट्स माने अछंती विशेष करी जेहेतु मु ओडिया विभाग रो जने प्रोफेसर सेठी भी आपनकर जो ओडिया विभाग रे अछंती प्रोफेसर माने जो ट्राइबल पिला माने डिपार्टमेंट को आछंती लैंग्वेज डिपार्टमेंट रे इंग्लिश हो ओडिया हो किंबा हिंदी हो से डिपार्टमेंट रे जो ट्राइबल पिला माने आछंती सेमान को सेतिरे इन्वॉल्व करबा पाई पड़िबो कारण से माने ही प्रकृत रे तांको भाषा कोन तांकर संस्कृति कोन तांकर नृत्य गीत कोन प्रकृत कथा को से माने ही कहि परिबे अन्य माने बाहरु आसी अध्ययन करी जेतिकी कहि परिबे नाही जेतिकी लेखि परिबे नाही प्रदर्शन करि परिबे नाही सठिक भाबरे निजे जदि गोटे आदिवासी पिला निज विषय रे लेखिबो ताले निश्चित भाबरे से भलरे लेखि परिबो एबे किस यूनिवर्सिटी रे से भली गोटे योजना करा जायछि जे जो पिला माने किस यूनिवर्सिटी रे पढुछंती ट्राइबल पिला माने से माने जते बडे एमफिल करूछंती बा पीएचडी करूछंती सेमानंकु तांको अंचल रे कोन संस्कृति तांको रहिछि कोन भाषा रहिछि बा कोन कहानी किंबदंती रहिछि से संपर्क रे रिसर्च करिबा पई सेमानंकु सुजोग दिया जाउछि तेणु कोरापुट यूनिवर्सिटी रे भी जदि जो आदिवासी छात्र छात्री माने आछंती सेमानंकु जदि से सुजोग दिया जाए ताले निश्चित भाबरे सेमाने आग्रहर सहित काम करिवे एवं गोटे भाषा को आमे सुरक्षा देई परिबा कारण कोरापुट रे भी एठी हमर मयूरभंज रे 53 प्रकार आदिवासी अछंती सेठी कोरापुट रे मध्ये सेमती ए अनेक आदिवासी रही जो मानकर भाषा को संस्कृति को एपर्यंत आमे लिखित आकार रे रखी पारि नाहु ताहा होई पारंता एवं प्रकृत रे जदि आमे सेमानको पई काम करिबा सेमानको उत्साहित करिबा ताहले निश्चित भाव रे हमर ए जो प्रोग्राम गुडी को सफल हेई परिबो तेणु मु एतिकी ही आशा करिबी जे अंतत मयूरभंज रे जो आदिवासी रहिसंती एवं कोरापुट रे जो आदिवासी रहिसंती बेसी संख्या रे आदिवासी रहिसंती सेही दृष्टि सेठी जदी गोटे गोटे डिपार्टमेंट खोला जाए तांको भाषा को अध्ययन करिबा पाई लिंग्विस्टिक डिपार्टमेंट जदी खोला जाए ताहले तांको भाषा संपर्क रे हमें अध्ययन करि परिबा काहे कि ना तांको भाषा होजी गले परे से माने तांको विषय रे कहिबा पाई मध्ये सेमानकु खराब लागिबो बोले मु अनुभव करे जते बेले से माने जे पर्यंत से माने निजे अनुभव करि नाहंते जे मु होछि जने आदिवासी एवं मोर भाषा होछि मोर निज मातृभाषा ही मो पाई उपयुक्त एवं ए मातृभाषा जदि होजी जाए ताहले मु निजे मध्ये होजीबी मोर आइडेंटिटी रहिबो नाही ए फीलिंग्स से मानकर न आसिला पर्यंत से मानकु उत्साहित न कला पर्यंत आमे से सब कार्य करि परिबा नाही तेणु मोर जो व्यक्तिगत अनुभूति सार रही ताकू मु एठी आपण मानक सहित बांटिली एवं एभली एक वेबिनार रे मते कहिबार सुजोग देथिबारु मु डॉक्टर विक्रम जनांकु विशेष भाव में धन्यवाद दौची एवं तत्सहित कोरापुट यूनिवर्सिटी रो विसी महोदय को मते मु धन्यवाद दौची जे आमे माने जदि समस्त मिसिकी एई कार्य गुडी को करि परिबा ताहले छात्र छात्री माने मते अनुभव करिवे जे हमकु मते किछि सुजोग दिया जाउछि आम विषय रे लेखिबा पाई जानिबा पाई बा निजर परिचय सृष्टि करिबा पाई ताहले निश्चित भाव रे से माने काम करिबा पाई आगे आसीबे एई आशा हमर रहिछि पुणी समस्तंको समस्तंकर बहु मूल्यवान कथा मु सुनिली सिखिली सो ए वेबिनार रे जड़ित समस्तंको मु अनेक अनेक धन्यवाद दे मो वक्तव्य को मु एठी रखुछि धन्यवाद
थैंक यू मैडम पद्मश्री डॉक्टर दमयंती बेस्रा for your concern for tribal people and their disappearing tribal culture, and you have suggested many things that how really we can implement things for the tribal people who are living and who are gradually, there are out of 62 how many are gradually disappearing, their language and culture to be retained and the language departments for them to be opened. Though I cannot say assure now, but certainly I will tell that we will try our best to see that in the coming times whatever best possible regarding your suggestions, we'll try to do things, madam. But I will also be in touch with you regarding your suggestions and comments because we like to meet people like you who is really working and you have real pulse for the people because you are one among them. Thank you, madam. In course of time, we'll certainly have a dialogue with you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Now, okay. So thank you. Madam, now I will go to Sri Sarada Prasad Satpathy, socio and political activist, and he is also closely associated with CARD and its activity. Now I request Sri Satpathy to say a few words on this occasion of signing of MOU. Please.
Sir, namaskar, sir. Nanda sir, तथा ये थे उपस्थित थिवा समस्त संसद समस्त महानुभव समस्त भारत गौरवपुत्र आज मु तो ये जो कार्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सहित बहुत दिन रु जड़ित डॉक्टर विक्रम जी जिते यार निवेदन कले से आम प्रचेषा कर प्राक्टिकली या उपरे काम आरंभ हो काम आम एमती करवा उचित जे प्रत्यक्ष ये कम्युनिटी रो डेवलपमेंट हो आज कोटी कोटी टंका ये कम्युनिटी रो डेवलपमेंट ପାଇଁ खर्च हो गला परे आज प्रकृत डेवलपमेंट केते हिच आर एनालिसिस जते बेले आमे करूचे पाखा पाखी लैक्स ऑफ क्रोर्स रो खर्च ये डिपार्टमेंट ପାଇଁ होची एथिरे वाजपेयी सरकार स्वतंत्र मिनिस्ट्री करबा को पड़ला तापरे ये मिनिस्ट्री ट्राइबल डिपार्टमेंट नारे काम करछि किंतु ए जो कोटी कोटी टंका हमें खर्च करूचे वास्तविक कि ये कम्युनिटी रो डेवलपमेंट रो केते काम रे आसुची आर एक एनालिसिस कार्ड करू ए भलिया अपेक्षा रखिकरी ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को आमे डेवलप करथिले जेतेबेले ऑलराउंड डेवलपमेंट कथा आमे चिंता करिवा ट्राइब कम्युनिटी रो आमे तार शिक्षा स्वास्थ्य स्वावलंबन सुरक्षा और संस्कृति ये 5 पिलर्स ऊपर आमे ध्यान आकर्षण करिवा या ऊपर आमे काम करूचे राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघर भी अनेक संगठन आ ऊपर काम करूछंदी वनवासी कल्याण आश्रम हो बा विभिन्न जो ट्राइब डेवलपमेंट एसोसिएशन हो आ ऊपर प्रचेष्टा जारी रखी आमे किंतु कार्ड माध्यम रे आमे चाहूचे किछि वॉलंटियर्स एमती बाहरंतु जो माने प्रत्यक्ष यारी ऊपर काम करंतु से मानकर इकोनॉमिकल डेवलपमेंट से मानकर स्वास्थ्य रो विकास हो से मानकर थॉट प्रोसेस रो विकास हो आमे तो भाबुथिले जे तांकर ब्रेन स्टडी करिवा पई किछि साइंटिस्ट मानकू आमे एम्स आउ ये रो ताकू लगेबा आमे यार निवेदन भी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया रे करिचे एथिरे कमिशनर जो अछंती हमर केउंझर रो पूर्वतन सांसद अनंत नायक को भी ये विषय रखीचे गोटे पॉजिटिव आमे प्रयास करू नहले कोटी कोटी टंका खर्च होउची वास्तविक ये कम्युनिटी रो डेवलपमेंट ठीक ढंग रे हे पारु नै एथि पई किछि सोशल वर्कर जे कि पूरा मिशन भाव रे नियंतु ओडिसा रे एते बड़ समुदाय ये ट्राइब रो डेवलपमेंट पई चिंता करंतु काहे कि ना हमर इंटीग्रेल ह्यूमनिज्म कहूची जे पर्यंत साधारण जनतार विकास हे नै सेतबेले हमर देशर विकास हे नै ता ऊपर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया काम करची एबे भी संघर स्वावलंबी भारत ऊपर गोटे फोरम काम आरंभ होईची ये स्वावलंबी भारत रे एई कम्युनिटी मानकर किभली डेवलपमेंट हबो सेमाने को केमिति आमे स्किल करिवा सेमाने एजुकेशन सहित निजर योगक्षम रक्षा करिया पई केमिति सक्षम हेबे ता ऊपर काम करिया पई आपण मानकर प्रत्यक्ष योगदान दरकार सर आमे प्रचेष्टा करूचु लक्ष लक्ष लोकंकर जीवन बदलया पई तार संस्कृति तार शिक्षा तार स्वास्थ्य तार सुरक्षा ये समस्त विषय उपरे कार्ड प्रयास आरंभ करछि आपण मानकर सहयोग आपण मानकर योगदान निहाती आवश्यक काहे कि आमे समस्त भारतीय भावरे ये कम्युनिटी विषय रे चिंता करिवा आज इंडियन आमे ओडिशार भूमिपुत्र आमे समस्ते लागिले ही एक आर डेवलपमेंट हे परिबो ए समय रे मु ए 2-4 शब्द रखुची आपण मानको समस्त को नमस्कार आपण माने समय दैछंती आपे चिंता करछंती आपण मानकर पॉजिटिव सजेशन आमे निहाती रूप रे गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया गवर्नमेंट ऑफ ओडिशा आगे रखिबा आमे प्रचेष्टा करिबा जे प्रत्यक्ष ए कम्युनिटी रो डेवलपमेंट हो सर नंद सर नमस्कार
Thank you, Mr. Satpathy, for your very positive suggestion and working among the tribal people and for their upliftment and your concern. We will certainly look into it. And as you are involved with CARD, we will have to work together to see that real development comes to them. Thank you. So now, before coming to Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, I have another academician with us who has involved himself with Central University of Odisha, Professor Sunil Kant Behera. Professor Behera has joined the Central University of Odisha as a visiting professor, Department of Journalism, and he is also our advisor, Internal Quality Assurance Cell. Professor Behera has retired from Berhampur University in the Department of Journalism, and he is a man who is credited with the establishing Department of Journalism in Tezpur University, and he, in the last 5 years, he was in Tezpur University as a professor of eminence. I am really thankful that Professor Behera is with us. I will request Professor Sunil Kant Behera to say a few words on this occasion. Professor Behera. Sir, please unmute. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Professor Palita sir, for giving me this opportunity. Really, when I joined the Central University of Odisha, today perhaps is the most important day for me. My joy knew no bounds. And perhaps we are moving in the right direction. When the Central University of Odisha was established in Koraput, we had a mandate the mandate was basically not for providing quality higher education, research and extension activities, but for the promotion and development of the indigenous communities, the tribal and cultural communities of the Koraput district specifically. And I'm extremely happy that we are signing an MOU with CARD, which has worked in these lines for a pretty long period of time. They had very, very successful experiments, developmental experiments in various parts of the state, and we surely will be benefited by collaborating with them. And it was a pleasure hearing to a galaxy of people, those who are very, very experienced, and they believe they are not an ideologically driven people, but also action-oriented people. It was very pleasure on my part to listen to Professor S.K. Nanda and Professor Sanjay Naik and Professor Mahavir Jaiswal about his the innovative step that he is going to take linked with the tribal and cultural artifacts, the marketing of those products through Flipkart. There are certain things when we talk about development actually, I will go to the basics. We always say that for the last 75 years, we have been working for the development of these communities, the marginalized communities, but we have not been able to achieve. And we say that today the time has come. After 75 years, we are saying this. I'm not a pessimist. I am certainly an optimist. But the thing is that if we look at the composition, the geographic composition of Koraput district, and the kind of developmental planning is always superb in India. We plan very well. And the execution where we fail. And again, Dr. Chardut Paningrai, he was talking of inclusivity. When we talk about marginalized communities, marginalized means they are being excluded from the mainstream economic and social and cultural activities and political activities. The discriminated and excluded communities are being called marginalized communities. Now coming to Koraput, when I read about Koraput, we have about 50.6% are here tribal communities. And we have about 14.21 scheduled caste communities. So totally about 65% of the total population of Koraput are scheduled tribes and scheduled caste. And there are about 51 scheduled tribes. And I'm surprised to see there is some of the tribal groups are on the verge of extinction. When you talk about, say, the Bhumiyas and the even the Gadavas, they are on the verge of extinction. Now, the preservation of the tribal culture, the preservation of their identities is also a part, should also be a part of our developmental planning. And when we talk about indigenous development, development has different connotations. Now, development cannot be viewed as Americans view development. We Indians, we here in Koraput cannot view development in with those parameters. We need to define, we have already defined the indigenous development parameters. What are the tribal development parameters? Now, I will say the indigenous development should be defined as the development that should happen, development of the people, by the people, and with the people. With the people. Now, we have always been, if you look at all the 12 5-year plans and also the rolling plans, we were always planning for them. We were talking in terms of the planners and the government and the beneficiaries. Now, that concept of beneficiaries have always created a lot of mistrust and amongst the tribals, amongst the marginalized communities and the government mercenaries. So we will have to eradicate that trust deficit between the tribals, marginalized communities, and we people. We are all one. When we We have signed an MOU. We are very happy. I'm very happy, extremely. And we have to draw a roadmap. And Dr. Panigrahi was telling about the MOR, Memorandum of Review. And in any MOU, we always have a component of monitoring and evaluation. We always monitor when we plan, when we draw a roadmap, when we draw an action plan. We always, there would be periodic evaluations, continuous monitoring, periodic evaluations, and time-bound deliverables. We need to define all these things in our MOU and in our plan of action that we will certainly be doing. So we will have to, I will just say one thing, we will have to contextualize whatever developmental plans that are being given to us by the government of India or government of Odisha. We need to contextualize them. Suppose we are talking, Professor Jaiswal talked about digitalization. That's very, very important today. But when we look at the situation here, ground zero situation in Koraput, 28% penetration, digital penetration is only 28%. In the KBK region, there are 5419 villages, those who do not have mobile connectivity. Now, with this backdrop, we can't talk of digitization. We can't talk of online education. We can't. So these deficiencies will always be there. We will have to work with these deficiencies. We will have to do capacity building of the tribals. We will have to do infrastructural development also. So there should be a plan of action for holistic development. We cannot initiate plans to look at their health in isolation, their education in isolation, their economic development in isolation. All these, when Satpathy talked about the 5 pillars, he was very right. It should be a holistic development plan that we must try to devise. And I am sure Central University of Odisha, I thank Professor Palita sir and for taking up this, and CARD with the vast experience Dr. Vikram Kumar Janna and his team have. So we must work together, and we will work together for benefit of ourselves. Now, not for the benefit of them. We will have to, from day to, we'll have to, the concept is to say that we need to develop ourselves. We are here in Koraput, means we are also Koraputians. Now, when we talk about development of the tribals, we talk about the development of ours. So Koraput means our land. We will have to, with that conceptualization, with that perception, we need to develop our action plan. And I'm sure we will move forward with a positive mindset, and we will achieve things maybe in a gradual manner. But I'm very happy, and I congratulate CARD, and I congratulate Professor Palita. And also, I am really thankful for giving us guidance by Professor S.K. Nanda, our chief guest, Professor Mahavir Jaiswal, and then Professor Kishore Kumar Basa, my sir, and Padma Damayanti Besra. All of them have actually given us inputs which would help us in planning for the future holistic development of the indigenous communities of Koraput, and that must become a kind of what I will say, which can be replicated elsewhere. That development, tribal development model can be replicated elsewhere. So we must work towards that, and I'm sure we will work towards that. And I thank Dr. Palita sir for giving me this opportunity to speak a few words on this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Sunilkant Behra sir, for your very positive inputs for transforming the life and livelihood of these indigenous communities at Koraput. Yes, we have to work together. This is really positive, and we have to identify ourselves with them. You have rightly said, and really it makes a difference that when we want to say that we have to work for that Adivasi should be developed. No, we have to develop ourselves so that they got developed along with that. So because when we want to development is for them and development for us. So this is holistic. Thank you. Now I move to a motivating force behind this MOU. Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, in charge Vice Chancellor, National Law and Transport University, Vadodara, Gujarat. And I must say that since last 2 days, Professor Nanda has a personal loss. His brother-in-law passed away. But in spite of that loss, he is with us here. And I request Nanda sir, Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, to say a few words on this again. Professor Nanda.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Palita, for this kind words.
No,
and I don't know how to quickly. Can you hear me, Professor Palita?
Yes, please carry on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm rather unfortunately cut off at the airport in Allahabad and driven by the demands of few rituals that we have to do because of a sudden and abrupt and very unfortunate death of a very close member of the family. But because card and this idea of having something to engage with one of those very organic ideas of our times, of our collective existence that we have been inhabiting a couple of calendrical years in our life. And also Bikram, I've been listening to the proceedings of the whole workshop, and also drawn to this, this idea that we should have a ceremonial function to mark a official start-off of both CARD and Central University. These institutional mechanisms should be there to make it absolutely clear to the public domain that CARD has come of age, and CARD is an idea which is to be taken up by a galaxy of intellectuals, by a galaxy of activists, by a galaxy of policy people, by a galaxy of people who talk about development, by conglomerate of mindsets who could be very divergent in terms of their approach, in terms of their perspectives, but at the same time zeroing on a particular idea which could be very provocative, which could be very challenging, which could be always very twisting in its nature. And as we have, heard through, or we have, thought through some of the very brilliant ideas that have come from all these speakers who have been mentors of CARD. They are not here just as speakers. They have been organically somehow been tied up to this, this organization called CARD. But at the same time, they have been part of this career of this CARD as an idea. I look at CARD as an idea which has a career which traces its origin back to somewhere in 2015, and this idea perhaps germinated with the historic turn that Bikram took when he switched on to his masters and also some kind of doctoral degrees with an institution where he showed his passion, showed his commitment, showed his understanding, showed his very engaging perspective that he lives a different life. He was promising, his life was full of promises, and person him always rubbished him and dismissed him, saying that no, these dreams are always very, very ephemeral in nature. It stays for some time. It is some kind very youthful. It dies a natural death as you grow up. But he has defeated this idea, and that's why I'm really happy. I'm really emotionally charged today, despite the fact that this is a very typical day in my life when CARD is taking up personal bereavement. But I thought that maybe there is a kind of loss and gain at somewhere, and he has come of age in terms of his ideas, and we are coming of age in terms of ideas. Now, coming back to the other question of issues that, as all these eminent speakers, particularly, I've been so happy. I'm so influenced, and I'm so much elated today because of this historic moment when I see these three mentors. One is Mr. Nanda himself, who has been mooting ideas, who have been challenging us to do things, and Mr. Naik, Professor Naik of Vice Chancellor of Ravenshaw University, Professor Jaiswal, and Palita himself. Those were the basic instruments. They're instrumental, and they have been propelling factors in getting it through. We have been emphasizing that it must take off, take off, take off. Professor Naik has been trying from his end. Professor Jaiswal has been trying from his end. So many other people across across CARD is going to have a pan-Indian presence very soon. Maybe I was talking to Bikram that we should have a kind of our outreaching agency in Australia because of the very significant presence of our original tribe there. We must learn from the West in terms of their experiences, the way they have tried to engage with the question of agency and subjectivity of this ethnic community, and how do we look at their comparative perspectives.
Hello. Hello. Perhaps Professor Nanda got disconnected, I think. Hello. Okay, I think as long as, okay, I think he's disconnected. So I will now request Dr. Vikram Kesari Jana, the director CARD.
Sir, he will join shortly, sir. Sir, he will join shortly, messaging.
Okay, okay. Try to contact him over phone.
Already done, sir.
Join. Okay. Professor
Okay,
Nanda, carry on.
sorry,
Yes.
this is a lot of bit of disruption. So just wanted to try, just trying to switch back immediately to emphasize on this point that CAD may not only make sense or seminal sense in terms of talking about development, and it may not only make sense for CAD to talk in terms of a global perspectives of development. Maybe we need something a larger perspective which tries to bring in a kind of a mix of perspectives where globalism is one part. Maybe there is something to do with non-globalism. What is that non-globalism? We're going to spell out in due course of our action. Obviously, and rightly said, aptly said by many of us, warned by many of us, it cannot be a kind of an idea which has to be taken up theoretically. It has to be action orientation. It has to be policy orientation. It has to be interventionist orientation of a different nature. And all of us are interventionists, not in terms of social engineer sort of things. I'm also drawn to this question of a very famous question which was posed by a famous philosophers of West like Immanuel Kant in 1839, what is man? So that idea still propels. This is one of the foundational idea of CARD, that what is man? How does it define? Where policy people, where philosophers, where scientists, where engineers, where scientists, human scientists, management experts, gurus, all of them were just digitization, and now we are also critical of the idea of trying to have tokenic or doing some token service for tribal development idea, and we balance this square of this, it cannot be only a kind of technological orientation. When we talk of maybe we need to bring in this question of planet somewhere, and it's when we talk of indigenous community, the development of Adivasi, we need to also think the question of the place, the question, the how do we engage with the question of sustainability of the region, and whether it has to be only a question of sustainability or habitability is another question. So if you can think of engaging with this idea of development, engaging with the idea of progress, and the way cards should take it up, all agenda that we have spelled out within that rubric called understanding the institutional framework within which card has to start taking up its business, its way of looking at things, the kind of actions that we have flagged under that particular MOU could be the beginning. But basically what we are trying to do is to very organically, very seriously, very critically, and very imaginatively get engaged with that region. And that region could mean not only looking at the indigenous community and their development in terms of the standard framework with which we have understood the question of development, orientation, the standard thematic gaze we have approached this, and the comfort zone within which historians, anthropologists, or physicists or life scientists have thought through about question of biodiversity, sustainability. Maybe we need to, you know, absolutely fire our imagination to think in terms of the serious challenges that planet faces. And part of that challenges that planet faces, how do we configure this question of indigeneity, the question of the region, the question of place, how do we fight some kind of Eurocentrism that has pervaded our understanding of any issue, any idea, with which we have schooled ourselves, we have framed our discipline practices. So these are the questions, these are the challenges before the card. It's going to be very unconventional in terms of defeating, in terms of tarnishing, in terms of trying to dismiss barriers of ideas, both theoretically and in terms of action orientation, in terms of engagement. So when we say that it's a kind of multimodal engagement between and card to look at the question of education, teaching, research, skilling, training, and whatnot, public outreach. It has its own kind of idiom. It has its own grammar. It has its own logic. It has its own way of engaging with things very differently. So where we have to cash on, we have to capitalize on the ideas of the collective ideas, wisdoms of the valuable insights that have come in by now, the reflections we have seen, but all of them are going to be in. I'm really happy, I'm really overwhelmed today that all of you have come and joined and promised that you are going to contribute your might. I cannot be more happy than the fact that it has instantly been there. It was already doing rounds that we're looking for a kind of MOU with IIM, and soon Mr. Nanda very rightly suggests that we should have a pan-Indian presence. So he's having exploring some of these ways of engage, having collaborations with institutions outside Odisha, maybe later on some kind of institutions across will have it. But now question is, who is going to give the energy, who is going to give the time, who is going to give his critical thinking? That is the challenge for all of us. That is the kind of review that we have to do. We cannot do the review in terms of numerical narratives. We cannot do the review in terms of documentary practices. We have to do a review in terms of our own critical engagement, our critical way of, the way we need to relocate ourselves critically, and how imaginative we think that we have been part of the making of card, because this is an idea, it has a career, it has a trajectory of growth, and that trajectory, in which way we are going to supplement that trajectory is going to be challenging. With those words, I would again thank you. Yes. With these words, I would like to thank Professor Palita, Dr. Jena, and all of you, particularly Professor Naik, Professor Jaiswal, you know, and of course, Professor Nanda and Professor Basa is not. I'm really happy that Damayanti Madam has spoken. He is going to be the ambassador of CARD, and nothing but as in fact we are not very happy today morning that we have a gender disparity. We don't have enough voice of women being represented. We are apologizing, and next time we must make it sure that we make it ethically sound an organization in terms of its principles, in terms of its pronunciation, in terms of its spelling, in terms of its claims. We don't have any gender kind of bias. So thank you very much, Mr. Palita, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you, Dr. Bikram. And I wish that you are going to be the pilot along with so many of your partners to take it forward to a very serious extent that India perhaps could not have imagined few years back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Nanda, for your very encouraging words. In spite personal losses, you are here with us to encourage. And as an architect of these things, MOU, I must thank you personally for your kind words and invigorating things that how to take it forward. And I must tell to the audience that while discussing with the Professor Nanda, one day I was telling that you are now in Railway University. Why not think a railway engineering for our Central University Odisha in the course of time, and the youth of tribal youths of this region will be benefited. And as long as you see, Koraput has a unique opportunity up to Navaratna companies, the biggest bauxite mining in Asia. And why not go for getting these opportunities, opening up geological courses and art science courses, as well as going for aeronautics engineering. So there are a lot of opportunity. I think when best brains unite and best ideas unite, we can transform things. And no doubt things have changed, but it starts moving. Thank you, Professor Nanda. I think now we are signing a MOU and things are going forward, and your support and involvement is necessary. And I assure you, in the coming time, we will be forming a executive body type structure, which in every 3 to 4 months will review things, and wish we all be there. Now, I am another thing to tell that in the last 2 months, we had also a MOU. Central University of Odisha had a MOU with ICMR, National Institute of Research in Tribal Health, Jabalpur. And that means we are heading towards, not that we have started moving towards a holistic development, which this helps us to go forward and make some tangible changes in the life and livelihood of the tribal people. With this, now I request Dr. Bikram Kasurijana, one of the young minds of our state and highly connected. And he actually, in the last 2 years, he has left no stones unturned to connect us. He tried with Professor Ramramam, then responsibility came to me, and we have been regularly in touch. And now the result is that we are coming for MOU. So I now request Dr. Bikram Kasurijana, Director CARD, to say a few words about this. We are heading towards conclusion of this meeting. Yes,
thank you so
Dr.
much.
Bikram Kasurijana.
I am delighted for this kind of words mesmerizing me. Professor Kishore Basa is here. And many gurus, all of are here. So I am a student, and student is always learning, and I am in a learning mode now. When I was a student in Koraput, Government High School, Kolabnagar, many of my teachers, they are inspiring me what kind of activism to do to real nation building. These are very practical words. Those are always introspect and analysis to me and throughout my life. Then I met so many gurus like Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda. The first meeting ever, he told me, Bikram, I want to be a organic intellectual. I don't want to be a just so-called intellectual. That's the word really encouraging me. And definitely I would like to spell it out. Who am I? And who am I today? I am not sitting here as the director of CAD. The entire team, those are working day and night, the fighting forces behind me. I would like to just spell it out their names. The Professor Sudarshan Mishra, Dr. B.C. Das, Professor Loknath Mishra, Dr. Bishwar, Dr. Ashish Dwivedi, Dr. Samuel Lima, Subham Das, one of the most technical expert of our team, Dr. Preeti Sriranjan, Dr. Kamal Prasad Mahanti, Dr. Nupur Patnaik, Rudranarayan Das, Dr. Neha Sharma, Dr. Nina Das, Dr. Shravan Bagh, Professor Amulya Acharya, Chinmay Kumar Sahu, San Kashyap, and all the members, those are direct or indirect associated with CAD. The entire journey started in Ravensa when Professor Nando was conducting international conclave, where Professor Bassa was the chief speaker, probably, if I'm not wrong. That is Adivasi Question and Policy Roadmap, envisioning Odisha 2036, where we invited a lot of tribal leaders. Professor Sunil Kant Behra is here. He is also my mentor when I was a student of communication. I interacted a lot with sir related to research and how to conduct with action-based research. In today's world, modernity is so far concerned. The realistic world is very problematic in these days. And after continued failure of ACR, academic social responsibility, and continued failure of CSR, corporate social responsibility, I should take this opportunity on behalf of ISR. These are my sincere ideas and very seminal ideas. The India is watching now. In individual social responsibility. As an individual, what kind of contribution we have to society? Because society giving us so many things, and this is the time to give back to the society. Some lady came to in our World Human Science and Management Conference. She said, "Let us give a few minutes of our for others' future." I don't want to waste much time because already the meeting is in end. The ending time connected to so many well-connected scholars. I would like to pick some names and big names. The sea tanker, the captain of the ship, Professor Sharat Kumar Palita. I would not met before. We just met him personally in 6 months or 7 months ago, before the departure of Professor Ram Brahma. He really inspired me. And he blesses me, Bikram, you do what you want to do it sincerely. And Professor Sanjay Kumar Naik met the second divine forces who always encourage us to do a lot of things for the state. And the last man, Professor Mahadev Jaswal, he always encouraged so many. Bikram, any kind of good work don't need permissions. If you want to do good works, then just go ahead. If you want to do bad works, then need my permission. I want to do what Professor Naik suggested today morning, jumbo collaboration. I would like to suggest many cooperation and hands join together to put forward the ideas. And what kind of ideas we need? We need social marketing kind of perspective. Because we seriously discussing these all ideas of textbook orientation. Because I little bit understanding what the politics behind the textbooks. This is a real time. We must think seriously about our future journey. Our future is in trouble. When interplanetary perspective is in very problematic days and panic days, entire world is panic, and we are doing something, and we are doing seriously thinking for others' future, not others. It's let us think for our future. What Professor Palita suggested. Always think seriously about the grassroots. Think seriously for the boys' poverty. I would love to quote here some great Frankfurtian schools founder, Habermas, what he said. The content or community or contest, what is important? The 3C is important. The content is important, the community is important, and the context is also important. For this sake, what we purpose, the Shahid Lakshman Naik National Museum is one of the pioneering pilot project. And from today's onward, Koraput is one of the biggest. Always I told Koraput is the most ignoring side of global South, quote unquote. But now I back my words through Professor Palita's vision, what he tried to achieve in just few years later on from today. Koraput is known for the tribal capital of India from today onwards, and we will sincerely work on that note. I will stop here, sir, because I don't want to waste of your valuable times. And once again, I congratulate all of us, Professor Sangeeta Ratho, Ashok Das, Professor Sunil Kant Behra, Professor Kishore Kumar Bassa, Professor Damayanti Bisra, Professor Sanjay Naik, Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda. Last but not least, if I forget somebody's name, then I will did a crime. Srimati Krishna Prani, the wife of Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda. She holds the handing holds of throughout my entire journey. She was like my mother. She always told me, Vikram, do something for your mother and do something for your soil. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vikram, for your motivating words. And now I will request you, Vikram, now I will request you to show the MOU which we have just signed, and please show it to the audience. Vikram.
Sure.
Please hold it and show it to the front side. So this is the MOU which we both signed, and now it is become official. It is being launched. Before the August audience, I will say this is the moment where we have start working officially and going forward. And I request, and this is the last page where we have signed. You can show it. Yes. Yes. So now coming to the conclusion, I will say that in the last 1.5 years, CARD and Central University of Odisha have come a long way. CARD has regularly organized webinars inviting international speakers on various issues, starting from Corona, social science, lot of issues. I wondered how Vikram could do this. A versatile young man could, I think, a passion for doing something, could be able to do this, and he has shown in the last 1.5 years that what a dedicated mind and a positive mind can do. So I must thank you. And our students, our faculty have also benefited, along with the faculty and students of Ravenshaw University and IIM Sambalpur, because we are involved. So now we have to say that I am really thankful for very nice words of Professor Nanda, Professor Jaiswal, and Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, and all the eminent persons who delivered and said, so now it is a time, including Professor Behra at the end, that and Professor Bassa, and all of them who said that yes, that means we should not take, it is an inclusive development. So doing anything, whether for effects on climate change or making the livelihood changes or whatever you want to, any transformative changes you want to make, you must thoroughly understand them, know them. And now in the last 75 years, perhaps we have been spending a lot without thinking for them, without making a part of them. We are doing, not, and so that is our problem. Money has been spent, change has been brought which was not accepted by them. So a time has come, we have to be inclusive. We have to make ourselves a part with them, then something can be possible. And I hope, and I wish that goodwill and blessings of many people are required to do a work. I am certain, sure that this will go a long way, because many positive minds are working together to do something to this region and for the tribal development. I am certain that with CARD and its mission with Central University of Odisha will go a long way. I am just briefly saying the objective before the August House, that our first point on this MOU in the objective is just a minute, please. I will briefly narrate. Collaboration for jointly undertaking projects and conducting symposia, conference, and seminars towards awareness and empowerment of marginalized community. Perhaps we, in the last 1 year, we have been having online webinars towards this, but we'll taking many more things. And very recently, once it is signed, we are submitting 3 projects on skill development on OBC, on SC and ST in joint collaboration with CAD to the Ministry of Social Justice. This will be the first step. Then all other things, that means designing and offering cutting edge courses on them with the multidisciplinary pedagogic structures, to that of offering fundamental training and later on full-fledged courses on STEM, science, technology and engineering, offering short-term diploma and online courses, promotion of Adivasi tourism, establishment of Sajid Lakshman Naik, etc., etc. We have a long way to go, and I require support and cooperation of all the esteemed luminaries who are present, along with the colleagues of mine in the Central University of Odisha, dear students, as well as all the people who are behind and along with CAD to take it forward. And I think with this, I wish we have come a long way. I think we must give a clap. Professor Basa sir is also giving a clap. I think now we have to go forward. And with this, a new era has started and a historic development has taken place. Let us rejoice it and take it forward. Now, for a final word and vote of thanks, which is also a very important job, I request Dr. Ramshankar, Controller of Exam, Central University of Odisha. And Dr. Ramshankar is with us since last 11 months. He is a former Joint Secretary of CBSE, who is working with us very close collaboration. And so I now is a young dynamic person. And I wish he will also his contribution to this. Request Dr. Ramshankar to give vote of thanks. Dr.
Namaskar. We have heard from our speakers about the challenges, planned interventions, and expected outcomes in light of broad scope of collaboration, which is envisioned in the MOU. We imagine this document only as the backbone of what is still to follow. That is the hard work needed to create a platform for convergence of ideas and efforts. Now, let me move on to my official business. I would like to thank the leadership of our institutions who see value and I am sure have high expectations in establishing this platform. I am thankful towards Professor Dr. S.K. Nanda, Senior IAS Officer, Founding Director, Vikramshila International University, Professor Sanjay Kumar Naik, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Ravenshaw University, Professor Sarath Kumar Palita, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Central University of Odisha, Dr. Bikram Kesari Jaina, Director CARD, Professor Mahadev Jaiswal, Director IIM Sambalpur, Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda from National Rail and Transport Institute, Vadodara, Padma Shri, Dr. Damayanti Behra, Principal MPC Autonomous College, Professor Kishore Kumar Basa, Honorable Vice Chancellor, the North Odisha University, Professor Gaurang Nanda, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Netaji Subhash University, Professor Srinivaslu, NS, Professor, National University of Judicial Sciences, Kolkata, Sri Sarda Prasad Satpathy, Socio-Political Activist, Professor Sangeeta Rath, Honorable Member, Odisha Public Service Commission, Sri Ashok Das, Secretary, Odisha Public Service Commission, Dr. Asit Kumar Das, Registrar, Central University of Odisha, Sri K. Kosla Rao, Finance Officer, Central University of Odisha, Sri Charu Datta Manigrahi, Author and Futurist, Professor S.K. Behra, Visiting Professor, Central University of Odisha, all head of departments, faculty members, students, staff of both institutions. I'm thankful towards all these dignitaries for their kind presence and continuous support and contributions. I would also like to thank the numerous staff at both institutions who have joined in discussions, provided inputs and feedback on the draft document, and have generally shown their enthusiasm for this endeavor. Again, our work is only starting and we will require lots of energy going forward. Thanks to core teams of both institutions who did much of the homework to get the document and this ceremony off the ground. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ramshankar. So now it is the time to leave, but we are not leaving for all time to come. We are just concluding a seminar webinar where we have launched. We have many things to do. Functionally, we have to work together. We with a very positive note. And thanks to all the dignitaries present, and thanks to Vikram, this webinar is closed. Work is to begin. Thank you.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar. Namaskar.